Hey guys, Jeff here with some thoughts on Breaking Bad Season 3, Episode 10, titled The Fly. Uh, well, as for my predictions, I was right that it was going to be like Walt and Jesse in the super lab for the whole episode, and it was kind of like a little mini movie, like unto itself. I was right about that. I was absolutely wrong about what the premise of it would be. I thought it would be Walt figuring out he was stealing and it was going to go all crazy. Walt figured out he was stealing for the most part, I guess, but it was about what it was said it was about, which is Walt thought there was a contaminant. There was a contaminant, which was a fly. I don't know how serious that was. Like if it really would have screwed up their batch, maybe I don't know. Walt was freaking out this episode. Um, just a weird episode. I think it's an episode that will be one of the most remembered episodes in the series just because it stands out so weird like that. It's sort of like the dream episode in Sopranos, or I don't know, it's just one of those episodes that sticks out like a sore thumb almost because it is just one so different and two it's like kind of its own thing. And I think what it was about and what it was trying to get to, it was trying to return to Walter's guilt about letting Jane die, Jesse's girlfriend Jane die. I don't know if you remember, but they were both junkies, and he goes over there. He went over to Jesse's house for some reason. He saw her choking on her own vomit, and he let her die. I think that's what the episode was about in a way, even though on the surface it was just about Walt freaking out about how there was a housefly inside their lab, and it was like a contaminant, and they needed to get rid of it. So that whole episode is, except for the parts where Walt has figured out that Jesse might be skimming, the whole episode was just two guys in a room. I think this series is at its strongest is when it just focuses on the duo of Walt and Jesse doing what they do. I liked this episode, I really did. It was just so weird. It left me weirded out in a way. Like, it left me thinking about things, and maybe it's also because like I'm like living alone here now. Sometimes you just get kind of lonely, think about shit. Just so weird with the fly. And to me, I was talking to someone about it afterwards. The fly seemed symbolic of this is what I got out of it because they do go into the episode like Walt almost reveals something to. Well, I guess I already told you guys what it was. He almost reveals to Jesse that he let his girlfriend die, and I think the fly that in the lab that Walt gets obsessed with and like ends up staying there for 2 days and not sleeping, and he just has to get this fly because it's a contaminant. I think that contaminant is like symbolic for, or the fly as a contaminant is symbolic for the stain that Walter put on his soul when he let her die. Because that, in a way, was when he really crossed over to being evil. As an evil thing he did. Everything else he did had kind of logic to it, and what he did to her had a logic to it. It maybe made sense in his head at some way at the time, and you only have a second to make up your mind on a choice like that. But he let this poor girl die. Granted, she was fucking up her life and she probably would have done it to herself anyways at some point, but he let her die and he stood there and watched it. And that was probably the most unjustified. Everything else he did, he maybe did, like, he killed people and stuff, but this was something that, in a way, was kind of unjustifiable. Like, why you should have tried to save her. And to me, I think that's what the whole episode was about. Really a weird episode that will always, I think, stick out in this series. I think it'll be one of the 5 episodes. Like every series, have like a handful of episodes that people just talk about. And this will be one of them. This fly will be remembered, if only because it's so weird, but also because it's strong stuff in it. When they're like getting into these conversations while Walt's almost he's overtired and he's almost giving away too much, and they just connected, like Walt and Jesse connected in a way that's what you like to see in the show. That's what I like to see. And it always kind of like then disappoints me later when Jesse just goes back to being a fuck up, knowing that he has this adult that kind of cares about him, that wants him to straighten his life out, even if that means becoming a good meth technician or whatever. But I said everything I need to say. It was a good episode, strange episode. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting something crazier and stupider than what I got. In a way, it is really like, kind of like this episode of Popeye I remember from when I was a little kid, where like Popeye is in a house and there's a fly in it or something, and he's trying to get rid of it, and he's swatting at it, and he can't get it. He keeps missing the fly, and he finally gets like a shotgun or something, and he shoots up the whole house so that it's like looking like Swiss cheese eventually, and he keeps trying to shoot the fly, and never gets it, and the house basically falls apart with all the gunshots he puts in it. And that this episode was basically that, but with more going on. I think that the fly had definitely had a symbolic subtext for the contaminant in Walt's soul. There's even an episode inside it that goes, "That was the moment. That was the moment. Like my life changed. That was the moment." He talks about the odds of all these things happening. If he would just have left a second later, maybe he would arrive too late, and he wouldn't have to have the guilty conscience. Solid stuff. Excited to see where it goes in the last 3 episodes. So that's my thoughts on it, and thanks for watching. And I'll shut up. That's it.